Justine Itugot is CEO and founder at Cerebro. Hello, Justine. We're very happy to have you dito sa Startup Podcast.
Hi, Yanni. Thanks for having me in this show. Matagal na akong nakikinig and natutuwa ako because now you're featuring Cerebro. No? Talagang nakakatawa to get an invitation from an educator like you din.
Yeah, salamat. And actually, I'm also a big fan of Cerebro, even since 1 year or 2 years ago. Kasi you're one of the edutech startups in the Philippines na kumbaga gumagawa din ng content. So actually, you have ready-made platforms and kumbaga essentially, pinapadali nyo ang buhay ng mga teacher, ng mga Filipino teachers. But yeah, I'll have you answer that question, Justin. So ano nga ba ang Cerebro?
Yeah, actually, Cerebro is a courseware. No, we feature ready-made digital lessons for schools, like ready-made course presentations, quizzes, test banks, and ebooks. On an online platform that we manage for schools, so we can allow their teachers to save up to 400 hours of preparation time per year. And with that, we're able to help improve their work-life balance, and we're able to help them teach at their best.
Yeah, usually kasi yun, as you've said nga, usually yung mga edutech startups sa Philippines right now, more of the school management, the learning management.
Yeah.
Pero kayo pa lang, I think yung kumbaga gumagawa ng courseware, gumagawa ng courses, gumagawa ng ready-made lessons. Pero puntahan muna natin yung problem. And sabi mo nga, you can save up to 400 hours sa time ng mga teachers. So, I know you know this because you're also an educator. I'm also an educator. Pero gaano ba kahirap? Para lang ma-appreciate ng ating mga listeners. Gaano ba kahirap mag-prepare ng lessons, especially for like this, like in the elementary level, in the high school level. So maybe you can paint the picture for them like this challenge for educators.
Yeah. Actually, I've been a teacher for more than a decade, siguro about 13 years. Tapos, and maybe not only on the teacher side, but most of the students will also understand this in this perspective na we all have the same experience when we were still in our elementary days, di ba? That our teacher in grade 1 for English is also our teacher for math, science, sariling panlipunan, even for physical education, di ba? So, a teacher is like a jack of all trades, and usually, yung mga subjects na yun, they are beyond the teacher's field of specialization. And I can also remember on my first year of teaching, my principal asked me to teach cooking in TLE when in fact my major is in values education. So I don't know anything about cooking at all. So alam mo na yung nangyari, ako yung pinakaunang tilalimsikan ng mantika in the class because the students know better, di ba? Mas marunong sila magluto kaysa sa akin. And with that being said, teachers are expected to be masters of everything. And usually they're expected to do an extensive amount of research about the subjects assigned to them so they could prepare their instructional materials well, while also allocating time for other administrative duties such as computing grades, preparing reports, and the like. And ang isang teacher, usually they would handle about 6 to 8 classes every single day. Kasi mapapansin nyo naman, no, kung 8 hours ang working hours, teacher 7 a.m. nasa school na yan, or even 6 a.m. because of the flag ceremony. At ang klase nila hanggang last period ng around 5 p.m. And that is for the actual delivery of their lessons. Wala pa yung preparation part. And saan nila ginagawa yon? Usually sa bahay. And that takes so much time na nawawala for their families na sana. And that is exactly the problem that we are trying to solve. No? Na maibigay ulit sa kanila yung time na nawawala sa kanila. Na ako, na-experience ko personally, lalo na nung panahon na I'm already married, meron na akong anak. Gusto kong mag-spend ng time dun sa anak ko pero hindi ko siya magawa. And alam ko, hindi lang ako yung nakakaranas nito. Buti ako nakapag-asawa. But, there are a lot of teachers na hindi na talaga makapag-asawa because they don't have the time for it. No? So, dalawa lang ang choice ng mga teachers na yun eh. It's either they quit teaching and live a normal life or just accept the fact na ganun na talaga ang buhay nila until they retire. So, you prepare instructional materials. If the subject na assigned sa'yo ay hindi mo specialization, you need to do an enormous research about that. And pag naghanap ka naman ng resources, usually the resources that you see on the internet are not directly aligned with the Philippine curriculum, more on Western yung mga context. And coming from that experience, I thought that maybe there is something that I can contribute. And doon na nga nagsimula yung Cerebro.
I see. Yeah, that's very true. First of all, Filipino teachers are one of the most like maybe underpaid and overworked kumbaga jobs, trabaho. Kaya sobrang marangal ng trabaho ng pagiging teacher kasi it's true, hindi nga na take into account usually sa working hours ng mga teachers yung time it takes to create a lesson. Isama pa dyan yung, kunyari, kung magko-commit pa yung teacher, papunta sa school. At marami pang ibang bagay behind the scenes, di ba?
Organizations pa, di ba? Advisory.
Yes. Yung pagbibigay ng grades, pagbibigay ng report cards.
Oh.
But, ayun, so, and, kumbaga in the solution part, you're making ready-made Filipino lessons. That's also one thing, yung, kumbaga, actual lessons na Filipinized. Maybe you're teaching science or you're teaching English, pero iba pa rin pag kumbaga in the Philippine setting. So I want to ask naman on the solution side, how do you make or how do you create this ready-made lessons kumbaga at Cerebro?
Yeah, actually, when we create lessons, I would like to start that there are about 30 of us in our team right now. And siguro 75% of us in our team are licensed professional teachers. So masasabi natin na somehow we have the academic knowledge and the skills on how to create or develop lessons based on the curriculum. And that is really important here. Kasi sabi mo nga kanina, yung ibang provider, they focus so much on the platform. Because they are tech guys, they are IT people. Unlike us, we are really people from the roots of education, teachers kami, sarili namin. So whenever we create lesson, just like any teacher would do, we first review the curriculum provided by DepEd. And from there, we map out the learning competencies. So, iniisa-isa namin yon and group the competencies together based on alin dito yung mga applicable for digital contents. No? Pwede namin gawin itong digital. Kasi there are some competencies na hindi talaga applicable like those sa physical education, di ba? Although, yung theoretical part is pwede pa rin natin i-digitize. So, once we have grouped them, we develop the lessons, then we create the pre-tests, yung discussion proper, the course presentations na gagamitin, the post-tests, and even the e-books. No? Kasi since last year pala, we have already received our official license as a publisher in the Philippines. So, publisher na rin kami. Which is, yun din yung wala no, sa ibang mga edtech providers. They focus so much on the technology, not on the content side, not on the publishing side. So indirectly, no, yung competitors namin are the traditional publishing houses na mga textbooks. Although sila naman, ang priority nila ay yung mga printed mga materials. So yeah, after we have developed the content, so nagmapping kami, nag-review ng curriculum, nag-develop ng contents. After that, we have an internal content manager who reviews everything before we put them live on the platform, and we deploy this on the servers of our partner schools. So yeah, kasi most of us in our team are not only teachers but also school administrators. Meron sa mga dating department heads, no? Meron kaming kasama sa team who is also from DepEd, no? Particularly on quality assurance. So it's like the whole educational process na sinisimulate namin dito sa Cerebro para alam na namin na kapag we put this live on the platforms of our partner schools, papasa to sa mga accreditation, papasa ito sa mga agency na nagre-review ng kanilang mga materials.
Ang isa pala advantage kumbaga ay pinagsama-sama nyo yung talent or yung utak ng mga educators sa Pilipinas para gumawa ng material. And then actually ang kinaganda kasi nito, once they've made the material, it's actually reusable or kumbaga easily scalable, quote unquote, in terms of startup terms kasi when you've made this material, this can be used by any school or in the Philippines. But are there like rooms for customization? For example, like all over the country, there are schools merong of course there's one DepEd curriculum. I mean there's one like format or like one overarching theme kumbaga na, pero of course somehow meron pa rin dito parang onting differences. So yung lessons na yun, meron ba siyang parang rooms for like customization or something?
Yeah, actually, in terms of customization, no, well, nabanggit mo nga na kasi meron tayong national standard curriculum, no? We would like to clarify na Cerebro cannot actually stand by itself, and what we provide is only the part where we can standardize the lessons being delivered by the teacher based on the requirements of DepEd's curriculum. But in terms of customization, our lessons, no, since they are meant to be aligned nga, they are not editable initially, no, hindi siya editable. But teachers have the option to hide and show certain materials that they have in the platform if they think na they have been teaching the same subject for quite some time already. Di ba? Iba 20 years nang tinuturo yung pares sa subjects and they have better materials for it. So they can decide whether to use our materials either as their primary or secondary references. And siguro masasabi ko, we do not restrict teachers na yung content lang namin yung gagamitin. And I usually say that we only standardize about 80% of the teaching and learning process to ensure its alignment with the curriculum. Pero meron pa rin natitirang 20% effort on the part of the teacher to apply their own creativity and strategy in delivering the lesson. Now, for applicability naman with other curriculum, no, na outside sa Philippine curriculum, actually, right now, we are currently repurposing our contents for other English curriculum or for other English-speaking countries na rin, no? Especially doon sa North America, no? You might be surprised, ang curriculum ng Pilipinas mas malapit sa North America compared sa Southeast Asia. Kasi sa Southeast Asia, iba-iba yung language natin eh. Di ba? Iba-iba yung medium of instruction. And anyway, ang 1+1 naman in the Philippines is also the same result. Di ba? Sa ibang bansa, it's also 2 pa rin yung sagot. So it's just a matter of mapping out the curriculum and seeing where exactly the learning competencies fit in the curriculum of that particular school or of that particular educational system. And that is also actually our expansion strategy. So right now, we are mapping naman other English curriculum naman outside of the Philippines. So our contents will also be applicable for them. And that is our expansion strategy.
And by the way, are these materials like in the forms of these are digital lessons, ano? So are they in the form of like slides or like in handouts, or how do they appear? How do they like appear in the eyes of the students?
Well, ang medyo technical na term dito sa EdTech is SCORM, no? Yung Shareable Content Object Reference Model or SCORM. It is the global standard for e-learning wherein yung content is applicable for various e-learning platforms. And we are also working on the compatibility of our contents, hindi lang sa Cerebro platform, but also in the platforms of other schools like Moodle, Canvas, kung ano yung mga ginagamit nila. Diba? Kasi usually ang school, meron siya mga long-term contract na yan eh sa mga edtech providers, pero kulang pa rin sila sa content. And yun yung ini-improve namin ngayon. Right now, we are compatible with about 4 or 5 na common na mga platforms na. And kung halimbawa, wala pa silang platform, we can host the platform ourselves. So, aside from the SCORM presentations, we also have yung ebooks nga, which are in PDF format. Yung ebooks naman ito, downloadable to ng mga student. They can print this on demand if they need it. So, ang kaibahan kasi nito sa mga educational publishing houses na meron ngayon, well, they have digital contents, but makukuha mo lang yung license for the digital content once na nag-purchase ka muna ng physical copy ng textbook. So, bibili ka ng physical textbook, saka ka magre-request, pwede bang mai-request yung ebook nito? So, magamit din namin for school. So, in effect, nagdodoble yung cost sa kanila. So, sa amin, we are a digital-first solution for schools.
Amazing. Actually, in what I see, dati kasi nung wala pang nung hindi pa uso ang internet, kumbaga yung printed books, yung textbooks, yun yung parang pinaka-core educational material or learning material ng mga students when they go to schools. Now, in the digital era, ang nangyayari parang kayo yung parang core learning material ng mga students in the form nga of digital lessons, right?
Yeah, at least hindi Wikipedia, di ba? Kasi ang daming teachers and students na kapag ka nag-search sa internet, kung ano yung unang lumabas, yun na yung gagamitin nilang resource. So, it becomes a big problem kasi hindi natin ma-validate yung veracity ng mga contents na nakikita dito. Unlike dito sa contents ng nakatulad ng sa Cerebro, na dumaan na siya sa mahabang proseso bago siya nilabas.
Yes. And actually, I mean, in contrast with like, for example, Coursera or yung mga ganong klase, let's say Khan Academy, yung mga ganon. Kasi it's a different standard, it's a different curriculum. Pero ito ay designed talaga, or kumbaga the company
for
behind designs it for a specific curriculum. Like for example, Filipino, elementary up to high school. And by the way, is this like elementary up to high school? And lahat ba ng subjects except physical education or something?
Well, actually, meron na rin kaming physical education ngayon, at least for the theoretical part. So we cover kindergarten to senior high school, so kinder to grade 12, plus the college general education subjects. So right now, we have covered more than 4,000 digital contents for 129 subjects na from kinder to college general education, and that's about 95% of the entire general education curriculum.
Wow. Oh my God. I mean, I have to say na hindi siya biro at sobrang dami niya at sobrang useful actually niya. Sobrang this is a very valuable amount of material that you have.
Yeah, and that's not overnight naman namin ginawa, no?
Okay.
Of course, it took us years to finish. Although nakatulong din naman somehow during the pandemic na there are a lot of teachers, di ba, na displaced from their jobs, especially in the private schools, and naghahanap sila ng work opportunity nung pandemic. And we were able to help them, no, na makakuha kahit papaano ng source of income by joining Cerebro as our instructional designers that time. And doon,
Wow.
medyo napabilis na yung content development process namin.
Wow. And do you also have assessment, kumbaga quizzes, exams? I mean, you make the content, pero like in teaching, meron din yung parang assessment part, yung student
Yeah.
evaluation part. So do you also have these quizzes?
Yeah, we create questions and we provide the test bank based on what is required by the learning competencies issued by DepEd. Because after all, these competencies naman will be the ones to be used by DepEd when they administer na yung mga standardized exams like the National Achievement Test, National Career Assessment Examination. And we cannot really veer away from that. If we want standardization, mas mahalaga yung exams kaysa doon sa content. Kasi pwedeng iba-iba yung way of delivery,
True.
pero dapat yung pagtatanong ng mga questions ay align sa kung paano siya itatanong sa National Achievement Test. So yeah, that's a really important aspect din ng contents namin, yung assessments.
But on the assessment side, how do you make these questions? How do you make the quizzes, the exams? And kumbaga nagko-contribute din ba yung teachers into making these, and palaki ba yung kumbaga yung question bank?
Yeah, well, since standardized, yung team din namin yung gumagawa ng mga questions. So yung licensed professional teachers from our pool of instructional designers. So we create the questions, we place everything on a test bank, and for every lesson, meron kaming 5 to 10 items na questions that are already aligned with the curriculum na pwedeng gamitin ng teacher. Now, in terms of formative assessments, very useful siya just to measure the student's level of understanding on the topics being discussed. Now, in terms of summative assessments like periodical examinations or major exams, what the teachers usually do, they combine questions from different chapters, tapos mix and match, no? And they come up with a longer version of the assessment with around mga 50 items. And these questions are all coming from our test bank. So, ma-ensure din natin yung alignment niya with the curriculum.
Yeah. Let me share lang some of my insights, kasi I'm also an educator, but also I'm a college instructor before I left the Philippines. I'm not in the Philippines right now, although I still do some remote lecture work. Pero when I prepare, kasi for example, PowerPoint slides, it actually takes like 6 to 8 to 10 hours or more to review the lesson, to study the lesson, and then to make it into a PowerPoint presentation. And then gagawa pa ako ng exam, gagawa pa ako ng quizzes. And ayun nga, actually, ang laking time na napupunta dun. And after I do that for one semester, minsan hindi ko na siya nagagamit. So actually, it's a good thing na that these teachers can actually also contribute into making these materials. Kasi once, hindi lang, kumbaga, I mean, in terms of the whole process, hindi lang isang beses nagagamit yung material. Pwede siya magamit kasi kumbaga, nadudugtungan yung knowledge bank. Let's call that knowledge bank, yung content and yung assessment material na nasa Cerebro. What do you have to say about that?
Well, totoo yun. Actually, yung sinabi mo na one semester mo siyang nagagamit, okay pa yun eh. Kasi karamihan, ewan ko, I don't know if you have experience teaching in basic education, teachers are doing this on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Di ba?
Yeah.
Kasi sa isang araw, gagawa ka ng presentation, gagawa ka ng pre-test, post-test, and that is only applicable for one day. The following session ninyo, maybe tomorrow, iba na ituturo dyan. Well, maswerte na lang din syempre yung teacher kung ang ituturo niya ay parehas na subject sa susunod na term or sa susunod na semester. But that is really a big problem. And kung iisipin natin na 6 to 8 classes ang tinuturo ng teacher sa isang araw, at katulad nung experience ng isang grade 1 teacher na 6 to 8 iba-ibang subject yung tinuturo niya, ibig sabihin sa isang linggo 30 to 40 lessons yung kailangan niyang i-prepare. Times 4 weeks, 160, times 10 months, 1,600 lessons. Tapos next year, maaaring may update sa curriculum, kailangan niyang i-update lahat yon, no? And sa part naman namin, natutulungan namin yung teachers because everything, including the updating part, are being taken care of by our team.
Yeah. Really amazing how you do this. Let's talk about the team, So meron ding team, of course, doing all of this behind Cerebro. So you actually started as a solo founder. So How did you form this team? How did you build this team? And who's this team behind?
Yeah, so majority of those in our team are actually either my former students. So, actually, nung nagtuturo ako kasi before nung nag-pandemic, no, yun yung before pandemic, well, during the pandemic pala, no, during the start of the pandemic, nandun yung biggest decision in my life, no? Whether to do this full-time kasi tumaas yung demand di ba, ng e-learning that time. Or iwan ko pa rin, no, yung aking full-time job noon sa pagtuturo. Pero, well, I took the leap of faith. Mas pinili ko yung startup. And may mga students ako noon na gumraduate during the pandemic na hindi sila makapagtrabaho kasi nagtatanggalan nga no, ng mga teachers. So, yung mga new hires, wala pa silang board exam, di ba? So, tinanggap namin sila sa Cerebro. So, initially, sila yung initial set of instructional designers na nakuha namin. Then, well, we went around the same time, no, nung start ng pandemic sa Idea Space program. And yung Idea Space, it really opened a lot of doors for us. So, I was able to get a co-founder. Medyo nagkaroon na kami ng kaunting budget for that, who also happens to be my uncle since he was already so immersed with startups already. Well, he previously worked as one of the directors for innovation for PLDT Smart. Then later, nag-fintech siya. Ngayon, nasa Metro Pacific na siya ulit. And I knew that he has a lot of experience to bring to the table, at least for the tech part. Kasi ako, kaya ko i-provide yung for the education part, no? But for the tech, limited yung knowledge ako doon. Well, mapoproduce namin lahat ng contents, pero in terms of delivering these contents, no, to our clients, it will be a challenge. Lalo na nung pandemic, talagang naalala ko, no, umiiyak na ako noon kasi hindi ko in-expect na yung demand ay sobrang tataas na hindi siya kaya ng mga regular na mga web hosting site, no, na makikita natin sa internet. So, dati kasi 10, 20, 30 users lang yung online ng sabay-sabay sa isang school kahit na thousands of users pa yan. Pero nung pandemic, 100%, no, nung buong school, sabay-sabay silang nagla-login na bumibigay, no, yung mga servers namin. So, yeah, I was able to get a co-founder that time. Tapos, later on, no, nakabuo na kami ng sarili naming tech team. Nakabuo na kami ng sarili naming product team, sales team na hindi na kailangang ako lahat yun ang problema doon. No? Well, of course, as the founder and CEO, you still ensure that everything works well, di ba? Everyone is doing their roles. Pero ngayon, ayun, from Idea Space, simula noon, natuto kami how to manage our team, how to be more efficient in doing our tasks. And even up to now, ngayon naman, ang karamihan naman ng mga team members namin, mga interns. So, we are based in UST right now because we are under UST's Innovation Center, yung Tomasino Center. And a lot of our interns are also coming from the University of Santo Tomas. So, they're able to help us. Siyempre, meron dyan yung mga nasa IT, na interns na bago yung kanilang knowledge and they're able to contribute new suggestions, recommendations on how we can further improve the product.
And by the way, speaking of the platform ni Cerebro, kasi there's integration with other learning management systems. So automatically you can see the materials there. Pero aside from that, so like the teachers, do they like download the materials from the platform? How is this used kumbaga by the teacher? How do they get this ready-made digital lessons?
Actually, once they log in, nandun na lahat. So, di ba, for example, yung iba familiar sila sa Google Classroom. Ang kaibahan, no, sa Google Classroom kasi teacher pa yung mag-upload ng content, di ba, magke-create siya ng lesson. Dito, the school shares with us the list of their teachers and yung teaching load itong mga teachers na ito. So, when the teacher logs into their account, nandun na lahat. Pwede nilang dagdagan, pwede nilang bawasan, pero hindi na nila kailangang mag-create pa kung ayaw nila, no? Kasi minsan, doon sila nahihirapan Well, we realized that the main reason why teachers are not really into e-learning, especially in the Philippines, is not because they're afraid of the technology, but it's because they don't want to create a different set of materials for their online classes. Kasi, di ba, in reality, a teacher can deliver an entire lesson with only a whiteboard marker, di ba, in his or her hand.
Yes.
Diba? Tapos
True.
papagawin mo pa ng PowerPoint, papagawin mo pa ng digital materials na mga PDF, hindi na lang niya gagamitin yun. Sabihin na lang niya, mag-face-to-face na lang tayong lahat. But if everything is already provided, di ba, ang gagawin na lang niya is to review and prepare yung sarili niya kung paano niya i-deliver itong mga lessons na to. So yun, pagka-login niya, nandun na lahat.
Actually, that's very true. That's very true. Yung pinagkaiba nga na, I mean, most teachers actually, I mean, especially sa college, but actually even sa elementary and sa high school, nasanay na ano sa chalk and blackboard na or whiteboard
Oo.
na pagpasa ng instruction. Um, so this like is in partnership with schools, right? So Cerebro partners with
Yeah.
schools, is that right? And can we
Yes.
know some of the schools that are using Cerebro? Can we hear some
Ah,
success stories maybe?
Yeah. Yeah. Right now, we are partnered with about 30 schools already in the Philippines who are using Cerebro for their e-learning implementation. So, to name a few, yung mga medyo prominent ones, San Sebastian College, Recoletos. So, all their campuses in the Philippines are using Cerebro. And it's interesting to note, no, kasi just a few months ago, we conducted a Cerebro Impact Assessment Survey doon sa mga teachers from our partner schools. And we found out na after using Cerebro's contents, yung alignment daw, no, sa kanila to nanggaling, nung kanilang teaching materials with the curriculum increased by 11% compared from the time that their teachers are creating their own teaching material. So, masaya na kami doon, pero hindi lang yon. We also found out that we were also able to help teachers reduce the amount of money spent on preparing teaching materials by an average of around 200 pesos per week. And that is about 9,000 pesos for the entire school year per teacher. Di ba? Sanabi mo na nga kanina, mababa lang ang sweldo ng isang teacher, babawasan pa natin ng 9,000 a year in terms of preparing teaching materials. Ngayon, hindi na niya kailangan mag-prepare ng ganoon karami. Well, may mga ipe-prepare pa rin siya, pero at least malaki na yung nabawas doon sa preparation. And with that, I'm also happy to note na dun sa report, it was also mentioned that the stress levels of teachers attributed to teaching went down by 15%. Yung work-life balance naman daw nila nag-increase ng 14%. And their overall job satisfaction increased by a very significant 25%. Dati, nakikita natin yung mga reports no, na ang dami-daming teachers nagre-resign every year because of stress, because of their excessive workload. Yung iba sa kanila umaalis na sa pagtuturo, they're looking for other jobs with better opportunity, with better pay, like mga BPO jobs, no? Kasi yung mga teachers natin magagaling mag-English eh. So, ngayon, mas natutulungan natin yung school din na magkaroon ng high retention levels, high retention rates, teachers, less workload, less stress, improved job satisfaction, and on the part of the students naman, increased yung alignment ng natututunan nila sa curriculum. So, parang it's a total solution talaga for the whole academic community.
Yeah, it's super win-win. And actually, I'm thinking, why would a school, kumbaga, for example, when you approach, when Cerebro approaches a school, why will they agree? This tells it all eh. I mean, very big factor, I think, yung teacher retention. Kumbaga, pag napalawag yung lahat ng stress at kumbaga, hirap ng trabaho ng teachers. Kasi, the more happy they are in their job, the more they stay in the school and nabibuild yung career and nabibuild yung, kumbaga, yung synergy, yung loyalty with the school, and it's just basically a win-win.
Yeah, saka kung halimbawa, kahit na bigyan mo yung teacher ng ibang subject, like kunyari, katulad ko nga na values education ng major ko, tapos pagtuturuin ng TLE, hindi naman mo problema masyado kasi yung teacher. Kasi nandyan na yung materials, di ba? Babasahin ko na lang, okay, I think this is the best way on how to deliver it. So I can teach this even though wala akong alam na kahit ano about that particular topic at all.
Yeah, in terms of scheduling sa school side, mas madali rin somehow kasi mas increase yung flexibility kumbaga ng teachers.
Yeah.
I'm really amazed. I really have to say that. I mean, this is really a wonderful job that you're doing as a startup and for the Filipino teachers. But let's go to the challenges side. I mean, as a startup founder, hindi naman yan puro successes. So, can we know some of the challenges that Cerebro is facing? Like, first, in terms of yung content making. I mean, I know it's not easy, it's not smooth to create all of this. And second, maybe in the startup side. So, can you share lang some challenges and some stories, ano?
Yeah, a challenge namin in terms of content creation is yung sudden changes in the curriculum. So, alam naman natin yan, no? Usually kapag mayroong bagong administration na umuupo sa government, meron din silang ibang agenda, no, for DepEd. So for example, nung previous administrations, 'di ba, yung K to 12, 'di ba, yung alignment with the college curriculum. Ngayon naman, no, ang goal nung DepEd is yung sinasabi nilang bansang makabata, batang makabansa. No? So iba din yung nagiging focus ng curriculum. So whenever we have these types of changes, it's also a big challenge for us to review everything in the curriculum and make sure that we are still aligned with the revisions. Well, ang good thing naman ito, since we are already a registered publisher, DepEd includes us in their consultative meetings. And hindi naman kasi natatapos nga lang yun sa consultative meeting. So, meron na kami kasi kadalasan na roadmap, no, kung ano yung mga ide-develop namin for the year and may papasok na changes in the curriculum. We have to scrap that roadmap and change everything, di ba? Lalo na kung mahinahabol tayo na sasabihin ng DepEd, these materials should be available by August or September in time for the new school year. So medyo challenging siya. That is for the content creation side. On the startup side, of course, ang challenge dito lagi naman lang kahit anong startup is always fundraising. But sa amin kasi, we have been fully bootstrapped since the beginning. And we rely solely on our sales to support our operations. Siguro, two things din, no, yung factors dito. Una, it's edtech, no? And ang schools kasi natin sa Philippines, especially now, na masyado kaming integrated sa basic education system. Well, maybe most VCs or investors do not think na malaki yung opportunity for scale in terms of private schools in the Philippines. And another is that talaga namang kadalasan kasi, no, sa mga Philippines, wala pa yata tayo talagang masasabi na unicorn, no, in the Philippines na talagang homegrown from scratch up to now. So it's really challenging for us. But nevertheless, yung hindi namin, well, our inability to raise funds for the past 3 years was not seen as a failure by our team. For us, it was a motivation, no? Kasi kung tutuusin, well, I've also mentioned this in some of the speaking engagements that I had. When we started, at least for the Idea Space program, marami kami, no? That was 3 years ago. Tapos, karamihan din dito sa kasama namin, they were able to secure their initial funding. So, na-investan sila. Pero sa ngayon, iilan na lang kami na naiiwan and Cerebro naiwan kahit na hindi pa kami funded. So, we think that it's not about funding. So, maybe funding is not the metrics that you should always look into when it comes to checking kung yung startup ba ay doing well. So, we're happy to note na siguro nga, we're doing well. So, hindi namin kailangan ganun. Pero maaaring mas maikli yung runway namin compared with other companies or other startups na funded. So, that is always a challenge for us. Especially na every 15 and 30, nandyan yung nightmare ng bawat startup founder, di ba? Yung payroll. So, napaka-bigat nun. And usually kasi sa EdTech, ang schools, ang capacity to pay niya ay depende rin sa capacity to pay ng mga estudyante. And naging estudyante ka rin, naging teacher ka rin. Alam mo, usong-uso yung promissory note, di ba? Na ang mga estudyante, mag-e-exam na, hindi pa makabayad, they will have to submit promissory notes. Usually, mababayad lang yan towards the end of the school year kasi hindi nila makukuha yung grades nila eh.
Yes.
Di ba? So, may mga schools din, especially the smaller ones, are finding it hard to settle their subscription fees naman with Cerebro. But nevertheless, ano pa rin yun, no? Makukuha pa rin namin yun. Medyo delayed nga lang. But still, it's quite a challenge for a startup like us. But, well, sabi nga nila, it's the risk that is part of being a startup founder na usually sinasacrifice mo yung sarili mo for that. But, yeah, we're still here after 3-4 years.
Yeah, actually, I have some things to say about this. For me, this is just my personal thoughts. Pero I'm actually a big fan of bootstrap startups. Why? Kasi they actually, kumbaga, I mean, basically, they don't need funding. They don't need, kumbaga, an extra boost in capital. That means they have a sustainable business model. Kasi through sales, you can actually sustain your team. You can actually sustain your operations without the need of other sources of capital. Second, with with regard to edutech, and getting investments. I think sa ngayon kasi foreign investors, yun naman ang karamihan sa not karamihan, pero like let's say rich big investors. Maybe they don't appreciate how the Filipino people value education that much. I
Yeah.
think we're one of the nations na kumbaga napakahalaga ng diploma, napakahalaga ng degree. And for me, it speaks. I mean, I'm not blaming like the investors. Maybe they have a different investment philosophy. Maybe it's really just outside of their industry, of their field, of their interest. Ano. Pero I mean, I'm also not sure. But maybe education kasi is something different. And Cerebro is actually like a B2B. Kumbaga, kinoconnect nyo yung naputol na value chain nung nagpunta sa internet world ang mundo. Kayo yung ngayon taga-supply nung core materials na dati for me, I mean yung textbooks nga ano. So I think this is one, I'm not sure, this is just my thoughts. I'm not a successful investor, but like kung Cerebro ang yung B2B connector nung naputol na chain dun sa education, and education is a very important thing for the Philippines, and in the future dadami pa yung mga students, Filipino people na nag-value ng education, magabayad for tuition. I think I'm not sure, but I think it might be a potential rich future. What do you think?
Yeah, pwede. Maaring di pa lang nila nakikita ngayon kasi bigla din yung transition ng Philippines to online. Kasi compared with other countries, di ba, ngayon lang naman talaga tayo pumasok sa e-learning. Before, may mga few implementers, pero hindi kasing widespread ng implementation right now. Maaari, no? Well, na-realize ko nga rin no, habang sinasabi mo, posibleng tama na maybe on the western side, hindi nila binavalue as much as Filipinos do yung education. Kasi sa atin, parang yun yung greatest equalizer nga natin, di ba? As Filipinos, education. Yeah.
And actually, isa pang another thing, I'm living in Taiwan right now kasi, and in countries like Japan, Taiwan, South Korea, actually nag-asala yung mga elementary school. I can speak with Taiwan. I could not speak pala with the other countries. Kasi ang demographics nila ay actually sobrang liit ng umaangat. I mean, kumbaga, ang onti na pinapanganak. So, ang Pilipinas, ang baba pa ng ating median age, ang dami pang pinapanganak every year. So, I think it's also a bright future na when these children are born, they will go into elementary school. I think sa atin nga, kumbaga, meron pang, I mean, ang dami pang private schools and ang dami pang public schools. Dito sa Taiwan, actually, nakasara na yung mga schools sa ibang cities eh. So yeah, I think there's maybe a brighter future. So maybe keep holding on and yeah, I also think that startups do not, I mean, if as long as possible, as much as possible, if they can stay with their bootstrap business model, I think that's the best thing. I think that's my personal thoughts lang about.
Yeah, totoo, no? Actually, hindi naman namin siya tinitingnan negatively. Well, maybe nga, no, katulad nga sinabi ko kanina, we have a shorter runway. We cannot grow fast and scale fast like invested startups are doing it. But at least we're able to sustain the business. We're able to do our mission pa rin naman, no? Yun nga lang, medyo matagal siguro in terms of unicorn level type of growth, not in the near future. Pero kung may investment, siguro mas mapapadali.
Yes, of course. Anyway, yeah, let's move on to our last question. Ano nga ba ang vision ni Cerebro? I mean, if you get investment, what are some future plans? How do you plan to, like, may roadmap si Cerebro? What's in store for us in the future?
Yeah, right now actually we're already talking with foreign partners in terms of repurposing our contents for other curriculum. So right now we are in talks particularly with Toronto kasi medyo malapit yung curriculum ng Toronto with the Philippines. So we are revising our contents to be applicable for the Toronto curriculum, and we are licensing our contents with other e-learning platforms in this country. So that way we can benefit from their market leadership and familiarization in those countries, while we're also helping them increase their competitive advantage by providing our contents on top of their existing platforms. So bukod doon sa Canada, we're also planning to replicate this in other English-speaking countries.
Yeah, so maraming salamat, Justin, for this very insightful and very. I'm really a fan of what you're doing at Cerebro, and I actually
Yeah.
hope more
Maybe
power
because
and
we're speaking the same language, eh. Teacher's a teacher.
yeah, of course. I can easily relate. Actually, I can easily understand these challenges, and
Uh-huh.
I can easily appreciate actually even like what you're doing. Maybe for some people hindi ganun kadaling mapulot yung kumbaga yung value that you're creating, but maybe for me as a fellow educator, it's quite easy for me to understand. But yeah, if our listeners want to know more about Cerebro, about what you're doing, or maybe some schools are listening to this and they want to partner with you, so how can they find more information?
Yeah, so you can just visit our website at cerebro.ph, and from there you can see the link to book a meeting with us, and maybe we can determine how we can help our teachers teach at their best. Thank you, Johnny, for inviting us in this show, and we really appreciate the opportunity that you've given us to share about our mission and what we do. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And I'm really a fan of Cerebro. No? One of the most noble, one of the most innovative edutech startups in the Philippines. Salamat, Justine.
Thank you.
Thank you very much to our 32 patrons. This episode is super powered by TechShake, Asia's most active Philippine-based startup ecosystem builder creating bridges with investors, corporations, and governments. 1 CFO, tech-enabled CFO, bookkeeping, and tax services for startups and SMEs. Take 5 Outdoors, the best guided outdoor adventure tour in the Philippines. They specialize in hiking and mountaineering trips. Benjoy's Food Products, the home of premium bacon ends, tapa, and tocino. D-Buzz, Web3 microblogging app promoting freedom of speech and content ownership. Pinoy IP Works, capture your startup's value proposition through patent and trademark protection. Packetworks, the leading enabler and only Internet of Things social enterprise in the Philippines. Looking for buy and sell online with Sigurado sellers. And NutriCoach, the all-in-one productivity tool for dietitians and nutritionists. This episode is powered by Pareto Consulting, AltSwitch, ePlayment, Tuala, and Hive Energy PH. AskLex PH Academy is our official e-learning partner. Get certifications on Lean Six Sigma, project management, data science, and many more. Support the podcast through the links in the description.